Yes, we do not take it lightly that you have taken out time out of your schedule to come and attend the Teach For Uganda Cohort 3 graduation event. Teach For Uganda goes out every period of 2 years and invites aspiring leaders, especially those that are interested in the education sector, to express their interest if they will be committed to advancing quality education for all children in Uganda. So 2 years ago, these young leaders expressed their interest. They were recruited, they were trained, and then later on deployed in the community. The goal really is that one day all children in Uganda will attain an equitable and quality education. I thank you very much to all players in the room. I know for a fact that we have representatives from Ministry of Education and Sports. We have representatives from Teach For Uganda. We have representatives from Teach For All. We have representatives from Sigo Family Foundation. We thank you very much for making it. I can see Book Drive, Read to Learn Foundation. Thank you very much for making it here. I don't know if you guys all have material on your table. Booklets. Teach For Uganda has endeavored that this information is not left only to myself, but so that it can also get to you. So please make sure that you take off some time to peruse through that material. It's very important to Teach For Uganda that you know that the work they're doing is reaching as many people as possible. In those booklets, you see the impact or the number of children that they've been able to train, the regions in which they are working in, the number of fellows or leaders that they've now trained and are either in the alumni community or, still within. I, for one, like, one of their first values. They mention that they are children first. Children first. It's not about the fellows. It's not about the team that works at Teach For Uganda. It's about the children. And I would like to reference that in all that we do, it's always important for us to reflect on the impact or the beneficiary of the work that we are doing. And in our values for today, for Teach For Uganda, is that children come first. They put children at the center of everything that they do, and they work tirelessly to provide for them meaningful experiences that allow them to realize their fullest potential. They've been able to place 232 fellows. They've been able to train and teach 22,643 young children. This means that, this means that children in hard to reach or really underserved communities are receiving quality education because the people that are training them have been trained by, quality people. And then we have 178 head teachers and teachers trained. It's important that, just the model of sustainability. It's not just the fellows, because the fellows are really deployed there and after a period of time will come out of the community. But how can we ensure sustainability that this same program carries on? That's why we have 178 head teachers and teachers trained. And then we have 86 partner school communities. What that means is that these schools have partnered with Teach For Uganda, and that is where the fellows are deployed after the recruitment and the training has occurred. I know who I band. Thank you very much to our very beautiful and handsome graduates of the day. Please give them obugalo. Don't they look lovely? Don't they look stunning? Thank you very much. So at this moment, I would like to invite a campus secret to lead us in an opening prayer, bless the day, and everything that we are going to do. Make sure you also pray for the food at lunch.
Our beloved graduates, this is your day, and this is the day. May we humble ourselves for a word of prayer. I want us to take 1 second and thank God for whatever He has taken us through. The journey has not been really easy, but here we are. This is the day that the Lord has made, that the Lord has made. We will rejoice, we will rejoice and be glad in it, and be glad in it. Oh, this is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. Oh, this is the day, this is the day that the Lord has made. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit, Father, King of glory, we want to thank you for this day. We want to thank you for the gift of life. We cannot really take it for granted. Others are sick, others have passed on, others are on deathbeds, but Lord, here we are, alive and kicking. We return the glory back to you, King of glory. Thank you so much, Father. In Isaiah chapter 60, verse 22, you said, when the time is right, I, the Lord, will make it happen. We want to thank you that it has really happened. The journey has not been easy, but Lord, thank you for challenging us. Thank you that we took on this journey. I want to thank you for the graduates, King of glory. This is their day. It has really happened. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We pray, Father, that you may bless the function, that you may bless everyone who has come. I want to thank you for the invited guests. I want to thank you for everyone that is in this room, King of glory. May you send your hand so that we may all be blessed, so that we may listen to all the testimonies that will be in this room, King of glory. There are so many, Father, and after here, King of glory, we pray that we may create that impact everywhere we go, Father. Thank you so much, King of glory. Thank you, Jesus Christ.
The moment these leaders are graduated, they will go on to become alumni of the community. I would also like to, interest you, for everyone else in the room, there is now a current call for new members of the next fellowship, of cohort 4. Now, if everyone else is seated, I would like to invite Mutaka Emmanuel, who will now introduce the Teach For Uganda team and also give us highlights of what they have prepared for us today. Emmanuel?
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for honoring our invite. Today, we celebrate our third cohort of fellows. And just want to appreciate the team that we work with. For our visitors, we have a team. Staff, Teach For Uganda staff, please, you could just stand up. Our dear guests, this is the team that we work with to support the children out there. Thank you so much, team. It's a big team, so we can't introduce ourselves. I want to thank the organizing committee, both staff and fellows. We had a cohort 3 fellows organizing committee that we worked with to have this event a success. So thank you so much, team. Dina, Edmond, Patrick, Martha, and Ronald. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Emmanuel. Please hand claps for Emmanuel. Thank you very much, Teach For Uganda team. We are almost about to listen to the idea bearer. But just before we do that, I'd like to, recognize a few guests in the room that are here to attend this graduation ceremony with us. Now, I'd like to start with Emmanuel Kayanja from Book Drive, Read to Learn Foundation. Thank you very much for joining us. Mbatude Elizabeth, she's the Assistant Commissioner Basic Education from the Ministry of Education and Sports. Thank you very much, Elizabeth. Walugembe Brian from Ministry of Education and Sports as well. Thank you very much for joining us. Sally Hamidu from Cotton Foundation, Uganda. Thank you very much for joining us. Mr. Mutekanga George from Ministry of Education and Sports. He's the Director of Basic and Secondary Education. Is he here? Okay. We have Emily from Lisada. Oh, yes. Thank you very much. We have Emily. Thank you very much for joining us. We have Nkini Stella. Woo, Ndiwalana from Umeme. Thank you very much. We have Slivia Ilahuka from Sigo Family Foundation. Sigo Family Foundation is also a partner that has enabled this graduation to happen, but also part of our project. Thank you very much. We have Judith. Thank you very much, Slivia. We have Judith Nyakaisiki from Uwezo. Thank you very much for coming. We have Ada Chimazi from Chambogo University. I almost thought you're Ada from. Okay, we have Joan Atimango from Gallup Initiative, Uganda. Thank you very much for joining us. We have Vanessa Ishimwe from Youth Initiative for Development in Africa. And then we have Sheila Kangwaje. I needed to make sure. She's the board member of Teach For Uganda. Thank you very much. It's very inspiring when board members attend such events because now they get to see, aside from the reports that Mr. James keeps giving to you, you seeing this and the actual impact the fellows have had in the community is testimony in itself. And then I would also like to recognize the alumni. Alumni network, please stand up. Alumni. Oh, this is nice. And they look nice. So for the fellows, if you're worried, if you're scared, the fellowship is coming to an end, what will it look like? The alumni look nice. They're not malnourished. Eh? I would like to invite Mr. James Kasaga, who is the vision bearer and the vision bearer, founder, and ED at Teach For Uganda. Please, let's give him a hand clap. I really like, interacting with vision bearers because we all have ideas, but the execution bit. Now, Mr. Kasaga is going to give us an overview of Teach For Uganda. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. Wow, what a morning. And I want to first start with a gratitude note. As they said, my name is James Kasaga Arineitwe, the Executive Director and Co-Founder Teach For Uganda. But I also have to say that bearing a vision for bringing equitable access to quality education for our children in low-income communities is not a one-handed man or woman idea. It's not possible with one person. So before I start, I want to recognize my dear friend, colleague, and co-founder and managing director Teach For Uganda, Madam Charlotte Iraguha. I want her to stand and wave at you. Thank you, Charlotte. As they always say, behind every successful man, there is a woman. But we may not be partners in the soul, but we are partners in the vision. I hope that is understandable. We are partners in the vision. So I am blessed to work with her. And I work with an amazing team that they showed you. But I will share all that. Thank you for coming. Thank you for honoring our invitation. Now, Let me start my speech. The Ministry of Education officials and leaders, represented here Mr. Mutekanga, Madam Safina, and all our officials from the departments of the Ministry of Education, you're highly recognized and welcome. Hey, thank you. Clap for them. Yes. We wouldn't do this work without the government, so we are grateful for our government. And we work with them in partnership. Our partners, our dear partners, Sigo Family Foundation, DHL, I could name the list, but those who are here that support us with funds to ensure that this vision continues, please stand up. Sylvia, will you please stand up so that you can be recognized? Our dear funding partners. Thank you, Sylvia. Our board members, today we have acting board chair, Madam Sheila Kangwaje. Could you please stand up? Thank you. Sheila works with a group of gentlemen, and some of them are not here. As December comes, it's very busy, so we have Mr. Oscar Semwe Musoke. I'm sure you know him very well. If you haven't heard about Oscar Semwe Musoke, you can listen to Capital Gang, and you will know. He's one of our board members and one of those governing leaders here. We have board chair, Mr. Muchibi Andrew, who is also not here today. They are traveling, but they are always with us. I am sharing that with you so that for our ministry leaders, our partners, to know that Teach For Uganda is governed. Just as the corporates of DHL, just as Bank of Uganda, we are governed. We don't do things out of the blue. And sometimes, I have to mention to our dear government leaders that sometimes we don't, as NGOs, we get a bad rap that those are just NGOs. But I can assure you that the work we do propels the nation. Let me start. In 2016, we had a vision, just two of us, that one day all children in Uganda will attain an excellent education, regardless of your socio-economic background. Myself, I am a young man who was raised in Kashari, Kempungu village. I lost my mother and sisters by the age of 6. My dad died of HIV when I was 10 years old, HIV and AIDS. I'm a survivor of 7, raised by a grandmother who never went to school. But education enabled me to walk barefooted with a single meal of a cup of milk and a sweet potato to be able to come and stand in front of you here today. So I share that so that you understand that Teach For Uganda is not here just because we are here like what you hear about other NGOs. We are here because we purposefully believe that quality, access to quality education is an equalizer for every child, no matter where you come from. My grandmother passed away 96 years last year, but because of what she invested in me, and because of what the government of Uganda did for me, because at P7, when I got PLE results, 7 aggregates in a rural school where we all were barefooted, Ntare school gave me an admission. My grandmother and I could not afford. We had 1 goat and a cow. But the government of Uganda allowed me to have my scholarship to go to high school. And so that's why we focus, thank you, clap for them. We focus on UPE schools that we ensure our graduates that are hired, that are here, and now as we speak, Mr. Mutekang and Madam Safina, this is cohort 3 graduating. But in the field, we have cohort 4 and 5 and 6 is coming. We started in Luwero. We were just 18 of them. In Luwero in 2018, after the 2 years, Honorable Seninde, the State Minister of Education at the time, invited Teach For Uganda with Honorable Kadaga and said, Busoga is facing an education challenge. We need you to support us. Let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, that at the time, there were only UNICEF, Path International, and big multilateral NGOs, but with one little Teach For Uganda invited to support the education outcomes of children in Busoga. Let me start. The journey of 1,000 miles always begins with one step. We started in Luero with just 18. It was one of the hardest challenges that we would ever face. At the time, funding was not even there. We just had a vision. But luckily within that period, we chanced on, as someone believes in the vision of young people, we chanced on the ambassador, the US ambassador to Uganda. Our first institute, which is very intensive, 4 weeks, we did not even have the funds that would do it. But the ambassador, the US ambassador, Her Excellency Deborah Malak, invited Charlotte, myself, and the first cohort, and Madame Sheila can bear witness of this, to her residence in Kororo. That's where we welcomed the first cohort. She went ahead and ensured that we had at least the funding to start the institute, and we completed it. Thank you. Now, Teach For Uganda has done all these 5 years, but let me mention to you at least a few successes that we have had so that you know. In Luero, when we started, we had 2,000 children scattered in 8 schools. And these schools, Mr. Mutekanga and others from the ministry and our partners are selected by the government itself, by the district education leaders who say, follow our criteria, where the numbers of children are higher than the teacher. The teacher-to-student ratio in most of our schools is actually 1 to 80 or 1 to 100. We have schools today where there is one teacher with 250 children or 300 children. In Namutumba, I can take you there. I just came from one of them. That's one of our criteria. So we go to schools that are the neediest, the ones where children do not even have a place to sit. That's one. 2, we work with government because we believe that by reinforcing government, by putting a building block, it is the only mandate that can allow all children, no matter where you come from, to get a quality education. So we go to those schools that not only are neediest, but also need the teachers, but also need our leadership support. When we are there, we place 2 graduates, just so those who are 2 graduates, who work as teachers in the classroom, but as community leaders, sir, in the community, to ensure that the parents, the community, the senior management committee, everyone is involved in the learning of our children. Now let me mention, in Luero where we went first, Ruharo Moses and Frida left a dormitory for girls who were being actually harassed and raped at Butuntumula Umeya. They left a first UPE electrified school by fellows. They actually left, thank you. They actually left a school where parents now are providing meals. Every single day, children in Butuntumula Umeya today eat a lunch meal. Thank you. When Ruharo Moses and Frida were fellows, just cohort 1, wrote their essays because they want to be policy influencers. That's our pathway, one of our pathways. They wrote their essays. Frida, number 1, the Chevening Scholarship for Uganda in 2020, and she's now at the University of Bristol studying inclusive education and research and policy. Some of you may know the Chevening by the UK government. It's only 1 person every year from each sector. She won it. Ruharo Moses won one of the most coveted graduate scholarships at Georgetown University. He's now there studying a master's in foreign service and policy. By the way, we just received news that Ruharo Moses also ran for leadership government at Georgetown University. That's the same university where President Bill Clinton went. For some of you may not be aware. Bill Clinton is an alumni. Today, Ruharo Moses is the vice president of student leadership at Georgetown University. And we are trying to bring him back to Uganda. The World Bank wants to hire him. Other people want to hire him to stay there. But we are saying, come back to your country so that you can invest your knowledge back. I could mention many of them. Some of them have started, like Charles Obore started CBI Academy, which is ensuring that girls in Kumi today who never finished school are already having where to learn, get skills, and are able to succeed in life. So Mr. Mutekanga and others and our partners, just to talk about that, let me go to at least where we are now. We started in Luero, as I said. Right now we are in Mayuge, Namutumba, Kayunga, and growing to Namayungo, and other districts as well. We started with 2,000 children. We are now reaching 22,360, if you get me right, the numbers. Over 22,000 children receiving quality education today because of Teach For Uganda. We started with 18, thank you. We started with 18 fellows. 12 of them were able to graduate because the challenges are hard in those communities. And when opportunities come for them, most of them leave. But we are lucky to have the wonderful graduating class today who have been resilient. And I'll talk about them in a minute. So we started with 18. Now we are talking about 198 scattered across those 4 districts. 198 now present, cohort 4 and 5, now present in schools. Now, that is not counting the 32 alumni that have graduated and 26 that are graduating today. So in other words, we are talking about over 230 leaders developed. When leaders, I know you have questions, when they join us, ask them. They get a stipend, just as teachers get, and on top of that, they get health insurance. So that health insurance, meaning that when they fall sick, they're able to take care of themselves. Why do we do that? Because we believe that we are developing leaders that we want to be able to impact the future of education in our country. Today is yes about Teach For Uganda, but is more about the cohort graduating today. Cohort 3 graduates. Allow me, ladies and gentlemen, to mention just a few things and congratulate them and hand over the mic. The cohort that is graduating today, 26 of them, were selected from a cohort of actually, there were 46, if the numbers serve me right. Unfortunately, with COVID, we lost almost half of them. But I want to congratulate them. I want you to give a round applause to these wonderful people. Thank you. Why? Because in 2020, you all know what had happened. The pandemic happened. They could not teach directly to their classrooms. They could not visit the parents. They were left wondering what to do next. Therefore, in one morning we woke up while we were trying to figure it out ourselves what we should be doing. 10 of them had left because they didn't know what to do. Luckily, we did our research and found out that in Brazil, they were doing telelearning initiative, meaning they were using these simple telephones, the capability to educate their children. We quickly sat on the round table with our team on COVID using Zoom and Google Classrooms, and we came up with telelearning initiative quickly, and we were able to help train our wonderful leaders that you see today, and they started calling parents, one sensitizing them about COVID-19, the 10 minutes, 20 minutes they were teaching. And I have to say, just to summarize, by that end of as we began the year 2021, we had reached over 3,000 children through telelearning initiative, just alone. So that's why I congratulated these wonderful people, because without them, those children would not have learned. Actually, we saw that we had increased the learning outcomes of those children in literacy and numeracy by 10%. Just using a telephone. And they will talk about that. Lastly, when we were thinking about our girl child, and you know that the girl child is marginalized in our country, Credit Suisse came on board. We partnered with them. And now these wonderful people have been providing financial education and literacy to over 4,000 girls in these communities. In fact, we are just mentioning girls, but there are also boys involved. But we measure the KPI of girls because we know that when a girl gets educated, finishes secondary school, and actually they are financially empowered, the incomes of their families increase by 25%. So a woman's education in our country is fundamental to our economic development. I hope you agree with me. Thank you. And then, lastly, they were able to receive education, the transformational leadership course online. And now, we are probably the first local NGO that is thinking about bringing our curriculum online, as the ministry is talking about digitizing education, ensuring that a digitally competent teacher by 2030, Teach For Uganda is thinking ahead that soon our teacher training curriculum would be online and will be accessed by all our teachers. And we are working hard, sir, to ensure that all the partner schools we are working in, 86 partner schools, we are working to train teachers, those even who are afraid of the digital learning, to ensure that they go digital. So with that, I may have forgotten some of the things, but allow me to stop there and say thank you for coming. Thank you for your wonderful support. Thank you for those who have stood with us. And thank you even for those who were not able or ignored us at the beginning and finally are realizing that what these young people are about, it's actually working. I want to end by saying, congratulations, the class of 2022. Thank you for the amazing work you've done, and we celebrate you today.
Thank you very much, Mr. James Kasaga. Another round of applause for... You've had the story, you've had the impact, you've had the testimonies. I will not add to what Mr. Kasaga has been able to say, because I feel that he has expounded and also shared a bit of everything, the journey so far. We appreciate you so much for, staying steadfast to this journey. Now, we have these fellows in the room who are going to tell us what is their actual experience. But also on this panel, I'm happy that we have people that are already in the sector and working to ensure that children receive equitable education. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for my panel. I will start with Ayikirize Martha Cheyune. Martha is passionate about literacy development, gender and girls empowerment. As I read your panel, please walk in slow motion, okay? And early childhood development. While in the fellowship program, she became an ambassador with the World Literacy Foundation and went on to roll out a literacy development project in the whole school. Girl, you're important. To improve students' reading skills, which culminated into a school and community library installation. Oh, you're the library girl. I follow you on LinkedIn. Well done, well done. And then we have the man of the hour, Masereka Aaron. Do I need to introduce him? Please, Masereka, walk with the swag that you exhibited in the video. So Masereka has mastered and honed his facilitation and adult education instruction skills with use of active learning methods to support small, medium, and large-sized groups of participants. Well done to you, Masereka. We look forward to listening from you. And then we have Atusimire Brita. Atusimire Brita was placed in Busenda Primary School in Mayuge District, where she supported young women and girls in education in and outside of the classroom by improved menstrual hygiene training in reusable sanitary pads and clean water. Where do you guys find these people? They are very, very, very... Okay, Brita is also a founder of Kusima Girls Initiative, an initiative that empowers young, vulnerable women and girls in their education, independence, menstrual hygiene, and concrete planning for their futures. Okay, we're happy to have you. And then I'm also happy to invite a personal friend, Hasfa Mago. Hasfa is an author. Oh, by the way, Hasfa is an author. Do we have books here? Not today. Hasfa is an author, educationist, literacy specialist, speaker, mentor, focusing on sustainable Africa built on a powerful reading culture. If you're on Instagram, follow the Book Girl or Book Drive Foundation. You will see that books are toys too. She's the founder and team leader of Book Drive, Read to Learn Foundation, and has a vision of championing literacy development in early child stages across Africa through setting up solar-powered sustainable communities and free Montessori-based preschools in underserved communities. This is a powerful panel. Yes, solar-powered communities. This is a powerful panel. As for me, I'm the panel moderator. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, just a minute for me to take a seat. No, it's fine. Okay, so I will start right away with you, Brita. We would like to find out. I had some statistics set, and maybe they're important for us to basically first understand. Oh, well, I can't find it, but I'll find it later. So could you describe your fellowship experience and how it has shaped your leadership journey?
Hello, my name is Britta again. So, my fellowship experience, the moment you step in Teach for Uganda, the moment you land in that school, your life does not remain the same. How do I mean? So, when you were from Kampala, I was from Kampala, I was from Makerere University, I was fresh out of school, I had high expectations. So when we were joining, we had alumni speak to us. It's going to be tough, but it's going to be nice. But you don't feel it until you're there. So until you land in that school and it's break time and realize there's no porridge, and realize it's lunch and there is no posho, and you are hungry and you've been teaching from morning, a class of over 100 pupils, yet you are initially not a teacher, you get to know that you are in the fellowship. Yes. So from adjusting to what initially you went as a graduate, a young leader to change these communities, at Teach for Uganda, we have a slogan where we say, fired up and ready to go. The moment we stepped in those classrooms, you feel like the fire has dimmed. The fire leaves you. But you have to recharge. And how do you recharge? By looking at the vision. When you remember that there's Mr. James and the team believe that one day all children in Uganda will acquire equitable education. You want to help get there.
Yes.
Because you do not know when, and you do not know who is going to do that. And that could be you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. That's amazing. No one is going to... I like the takeaway that if we have a vision, we all have to go at it because no one else is coming. Okay? Thank you very much. Thank you very much. But then you also mentioned the important aspect of hunger. So you can imagine you're just a facilitator or really a trainer, but this is the daily life of the children in those communities, that they sometimes have to attend class without these meals. You know, so which is hard for them to learn. Okay, now I will speak to Aaron, the only man on this panel. I hope that you outshine.
Yes.
What's the most important lesson that you've learned from this fellowship?
Thank you. My name once again, Aaron Masereka, the only teacher who can teach from baby class to senior 6.
Okay.
Yes. You've given me a hard question of spotting out only one thing that I've learned in the fellowship, because there are a number of things that I've learned. But I've learned the art, I've said, and as the video was, the art of working together with different people.
Yes.
The art of letting yourself like Jesus, dying for other people's sins.
Where is the cross?
I said like Jesus, not being Jesus. I grew up in a village, and going to Bubalule in Mayuge in Busoga, it was not a very big deal. I was going back to the roots. But the only thing that I learned, the greatest thing, is giving back what you have, giving back the skill that you have, such that that other person also can at one moment be like you. Why am I doing this? Thank you so much. Because I was also helped out at different stages to be what I am. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Aaron. Now, I would like to interest Hasfa, who has not been part of this fellowship, but is a thought leader on the outside and also contributes to this sector. We had a 2-year lockdown. And, you know, just share with us what your experience was on how you were able to support children to continue learning during the COVID-19 lockdown.
Thank you, Cynthia. My name is Hasfa Mago again. For us, in the 2 years lockdown, the foundation is called Book Drive. First of all, I would like to applaud the work that these guys at Teach Uganda you're doing. It's really incredible. And it would have been amazing if we had some of our kids from these areas come and witness this. It's incredible. But what we did is, like any person who is drawn to change and a need to do something in their communities, we rolled out what we call the literacy champions. So we went in these communities door to door and then recruited young people from the age of 13 to 21 because we couldn't move and because of the restrictions and all. Then they started what we call ghetto book clinics. Ghetto book clinics are in these areas, in the slums and all, but they would come together in their homes and then teach reading, writing, and spelling to these kids. For those 2 years, all these kids who had never gone to school, some of them had started baby class, and normally, I think the rest of you also know, in these communities, these kids start studying at 8 years old, 9 and 10. So with the lockdown of 2 years, somebody who was 8 and they were supposed to begin, now they were going to be 11. Some were going to be 12. And they were spending those 2 years without studying. Now with these book clinics, with the teenagers, these teenagers, it stopped them from, looming around and getting into wrong groups. Because you would see them in the communities dressed in black and white, and they call them Teacher Carol, Teacher Tina, and they're shining, yeah? But they were teaching constantly. Then when the schools opened and we enrolled kids back in school, at the end of the first term, the teachers called us and asked, which school have these kids been going to? Because they've never been in school. And these kids were the best readers and the best scholars, the best spellers in these schools. And they asked them, which school do you go to? Like kids, they said, we go to Teacher Mago Foundation. But my advice is, in relation to this, is what we did is still very possible. When you teach a child how to read, how to spell, and how to write, then you've given them the foundation. You've given them the start. You've given them everything they need to succeed. Because this is the main underlying problem that we are facing with the education system, is that from a very young age, they're not exposed to literacy development interventions. So our focus for us in the COVID up until now is on literacy development. When we give them these skills, they can grow and excel in any school, academic environment. Yes.
Thank you very much, Margot Hasfa. I would like to now, carry on the conversation to you, Martha. You started a school and community, you installed a school and community library. What informed that decision?
Thank you. So what informed this decision was the very first time I stepped into their communities, right? So in lockdown, as Kasaga said, before we started doing telelearning, teaching children from phones, we were doing cluster pod learning. So when we went into the field, we mobilized children in different clusters, and you would mobilize about 15 children in a cluster, teach them, and then move to another cluster, teach them because of COVID guidelines and all that. So I remember the very first time I stepped into that cluster. I'd mobilized around 40 kids in different clusters, but between classes P1 and P4, right? I think my oldest was 13, and my youngest was around 8. And she was in P2. The youngest was in P2 before the lockdown. So I enter class, and we are from Kampala. We are being told we are going to teach English to these children. And the way to teach English is to speak English. You speak English, and then the children learn, right? So I enter this class, the cluster, and good morning. Children are looking at me. Good morning. Children are looking at me. How are you? I'm Vey. How are you? I'm Vey. What's happening? So that very day, I saw that my children, P2 to P4, one did not know, if they knew an English word, they knew I'm fine, which was being mispronounced as I'm Vey. They did not know good morning, and I was supposed to teach them English, right? So I write something on the blackboard, today is this. I'm like, can we read? No one could read. How do we start this? How if you cannot read, today is this, and you do not know I'm fine, how are we going to do this? I said, you know what? I'm not a teacher by profession, but during the institute, we had done intensive phonics sessions. I said, you know what, guys? We are going to learn these phonics, and we're going to learn how to read, because my belief from the institute was that the way to teach children how to read is start from the foundation. What's the foundation of reading? It is phonics, right? So I start teaching phonics. What we saw here. R, A, S, T. And then kids, we started learning. R, A, S. And by like 2 weeks in, children could read 3-letter words. Pen, cup, hen. So I saw by the end of the 6 months, because we were in the cluster for 6 months, by the end of the 6 months, I swear to God, the children that were reading sentences, it blew my mind. I'm like, these kids 6 months ago in P4, 13 years, could not read a single word. And they're reading for me sentences, almost 2 stories. I was like, you know what? When we go back to school, we have to scale this up. We have to get every child to do this. And that's how we ended up with the literacy development program. How we said, because after them learning how to read, what then do they read? Yeah? They need the books to practice these reading skills. So we launched a library. Yes.
Brilliant. So are you saying that you're usually, what do you mean by clusters and 6 months?
So clusters and 6 months. So 2020, end of 2020 is when we went into the field.
Okay.
It was still locked down. We were still not allowed to do classroom. So we did cluster pods. So we mobilized children in the community, 15 of them. You would mobilize in a certain, in like an area. You go to a village, you get children from like 10 families. Get them in a cluster. We called them clusters, around 15 of them. Then you go to another village, also around 10 families. So you teach so in the morning, if you handle one cluster, after like an hour or 2, you move to the next cluster. So that was a cluster pod.
Oh, wow, that's hard work. Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, so Britta, just to come back to you, there are so many, there are statistics, and I think these are also available on the Ministry of Education and Sports website portal. We have so many young girls not, completing education. You guys have set the foundation. They can now read, they can write and spell. But, along the way, we don't have so many girls continuing. What have you done in the fellowship to ensure that girls also receive equitable education?
Okay, so like you said, the statistics exist. They are not a lie. So us being in the field and being in the village, I was in Mayuge, the school called Busenda. The girls actually do exist. They do not complete school. Just a short one. So before the lockdown, we had, during the clusters, we were in mix that we were supposed to teach lower primary, but along the way, when you get to meet when you're teaching, people pick interest. So you are teaching not just lower primary, but anyone. So we interacted with girls. I was teaching girls that were 14, 15. So these initially from my school were in P5 and around P6. So when we come home, there's that long lockdown where we were now doing tele-teaching. So we couldn't stay in field. We came back home and we taught on phone. So when school starts, I go back to school and I'm looking, so where is Jessica? Where is this one? Where is this one? And the news I am getting is they got pregnant. Yes, that was very sad. Very, very heartbreaking. So these are young girls who are below 18 and have gotten pregnant. And there was this whole discussion here about a certain bishop, allegedly, says that girls who are pregnant shouldn't go to school. That is quite sad because pregnancy is not a disability in any way. So these girls were not able to go to school because they lacked this support. Even when you go to school, sadly, some teachers are not supportive. Yes, it is a point of, why are you pregnant? But we all know that there are so many ways you can get pregnant. It's not only by consent, people. Very many, very, very many. And in this case, I will talk about lack of information. They do not have information that there are actually existence of contraceptives. They also do not have information about abstinence. You were walking on the road, a man buys her chapati, she's pregnant. They're not like girls here in the city who have information and are more sharp and they know what to do. So when you ask me how am I supporting these girls, I would first of all want to acknowledge that it is challenging. 65% of young girls do not complete school. It is worldwide. Here in Uganda, they do not. Because of so many factors. Pregnancy, others stay home to look after their siblings, others are young mothers. Yes, this has been happening. I would say one thing I did at my school was we decided to run sexual and reproductive health campaigns in our school. So we were teaching, my co-fellow and I, were teaching these girls we realized that much as we wanted to hide the topic about sex, these people know sex. Unfortunately, they are smarter than we are. So we decided to come to the open and teach them. First of all, abstain. Also, if it has already happened in cases like rape, what can we do? Yes, there are contraceptives. Where can you go? You run to the health center. How can you be supported? Because also along there, we realize that, am I talking too much? It is emotional to talk about these things. Realize that even the health centers alone are very judgmental. You know, you get there, you already have a problem, and they're like, why did you get pregnant? What should I do? I am already pregnant, support these children. So we decided to run a campaign about sexual and reproductive health. Also, too, we decided to do menstrual hygiene campaigns. Yes, I started an initiative when I was joining Teach For Uganda in 2020. It's called Kusima Girls Initiative. It's been in existence, so it supports girls to have menstrual hygiene sessions. I was here in Kampala, but when I went to the village, it made sense. I was dealing with a real problem. From our learners, they had these issues, so we did a lot of sessions, trained them, how do you make reusable pads, how do you support yourself, where can I access contraceptives, how do I be supported, how do I stand up to my uncle and say I do not want. It was a lot, but I would say we have supported them with that, and I am happy to report that 2 out of the other girls that had gotten pregnant are back to school.
Oh, nice. No, thank you very much, Britta. I think there is an aspect of reading the room. You've mentioned that when you guys go to the village or to these rural communities, you're dealing with children who are in P3, P4, but they are 13, they are 14. Usually they have reached puberty, you know? And so there is a lot. So when you guys, I know that Teach For Uganda will set out and give you intensive, you're going to teach them to read and write, but the aspect of reading the room, that majority of these are now adolescents and might be engaging in this behavior. How can we integrate this so that we can see majority of them shift their mindsets from maybe drug abuse or sex and pregnancy to learning, because, you know, education has its own fruits. Yes. Thank you very much. So I'd like to now engage Aaron. Aaron, you mentioned that you want to become an education and policy activist. I think I may have missed it, but it was along those lines. So can you just state for us, you know, is this now a career path that you see for yourself? The question is, what career path has the fellowship set for you?
Thank you. I might fail to use the correct English words, but it is that. Okay. Education pathway. I'm a professional teacher, a science teacher. But I went into this thing when I'm like, oh, wow, maybe. But right now, I have the cause to the problem. I have the real problem to solve. When I went into this community, I found out that we had teachers, only that they were not sufficient, but meaning the word sufficient might lack meaning, because they might be insufficient everywhere in public schools. We had 14 teachers, government teachers. But then you find out that on a record of a day, only 6 are coming, 7 or 9, something of that kind. Yes. When you engage them, they're having different problems. Some are not even open to say what made them not to come. But then these learners are missing. Yes. My classroom has 137 on an average attendance. When they all come, it is something like 157 there. But then if 157 miss a day without proper lessons. That's a lot. Those are too many Ugandan future leaders that are losing some content.
Yes.
Now, if that is the case, when we were engaging with different teachers alongside my co-fellow, you find out that some are just lacking the right or the proper mindset to make up the right decisions for them to come to school. It sometimes goes over the teachers and it goes to parents. When I go back a little, we had a problem of community and then the school. There were two competing bodies. And it is still a problem, though it is not so big. The school was a different body and then the community was also a different body. If the school is implementing its policies, it does not engage the community. Now, due to the fact that we were told to do home visits, we were visiting each home on a daily. Now, I found Hajat having a girl, she was supposed to sit P7 that year, but she was denied to register just because of failing to pay 30,000 in time. We still had some time to make these learners register. I engaged the deputy who was in charge and then the parent. It was just a simple thing. And good enough, there was still chance, and then they went to the district, and then the girl was registered. Meaning that the gap between the parents and the teachers, the community, and then the school, it should be covered up. But then, you might fail to do all this when you're away. If you're just a classroom teacher, you teach, go back, you might fail to do this. It needs you to go deep down. And then, right now, I've gotten a little insight of the real problem. I mean, when I go in deep in policy, by the way, I might not even not know the meaning of the word policy. But if I go deep in policy and understand the A to Z, we can cover up this problem.
Yes, we can.
I think I've made some.
Thank you very much. I like two aspects. I think at the start you mentioned purpose. You went in, you're not sure, you're like, let me just give it a try. And now you're set out to become this education and policy activist, okay? And now you've even closed your remarks saying the policy needs to be reformed because, you know, these gaps need to be amended. Thank you very much. But then also the aspect of presence, that you feel that the teachers in the community are engaged in other things. They do not care much about the education of the children. So thank you very much for being present, but also enabling that student to register. Yeah, so Martha, yes. The aspect of sustainability. You guys have started a library. I mean, Masereka has, you know, done all these great things in his community. Brita has, you know, started a sexual health campaign, menstrual hygiene campaign in her school. But you guys live in Kampala.
Yes.
Now, what does sustainability look like? How are you going to ensure that these programs that you started up are still going to carry on even when you're not there?
Thank you. So we didn't just do the library in Isikiro. My co-fellow Andrew Magero, wherever he is, hi. So we didn't just do library. We also did menstrual hygiene. We also did, we ran a football project. So how we ensured that it was going to be sustainable, for example, the menstrual hygiene, is we trained trainers of trainers. So we trained kids in, we picked out the football team, first of all. Those were our main focus, our girls' football team. We made them trainers of trainers. So girls' football team come from P6, they come from P5, P4. And a P4 footballer has 3 more years. A P3 footballer has about 4 more years. So these trainers of trainers are going to continue training their fellows. So all we need to do, because if you look at the materials needed for menstrual hygiene, it's things we have at home. It's a needle and a thread, it's a cotton cloth, it's things we have. So all we needed for those children was, first of all, to get the skill. The people that were going to go ahead and train them, right? That was for sustainability of the menstrual hygiene. Then for the library, my co-fellow and I, Andrew Magero, once again, hi. So my co-fellow and I, while the fellowship was ending and everyone was scared and running up and down and trying to apply to different organizations, we stayed calm because we have a plan. We are returning to our villages. We are, the literacy development plan that we have is we want to stay in the, first of all, in the Ezekiel community and have it run for, I think, at least 6 months. First of all, we've brought teachers on board, right? We found, now this is a gap, we found that teachers that were teaching primary 1, primary 2, primary 3 did not have training in the basic foundational skills of literacy. So we did that. We took them through the training. We taught them phonics, and if a teacher now is able to at least go ahead and train their child or their children, then even if we are not there, it goes on. The library, we are staying back. We are going to continue scaling up the literacy development. We are getting into partnership. We are with Rotary. Rotary is also running a literacy development initiative. So we are getting into partnership with them, and we want to scale up to different schools, not just Ezekiel. We want Buaya, we want a number of schools. So,
wow, great. The power of an idea. You're about to become a founder.
Yes, I am already a founder.
Hey.
The organization is in the registration process.
Hey.
We are big people.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. So, just to wrap it off, Hasfa, you've had, these are fellows. They've spoken about their experience in the fellowship, but then also the things that they aspire to do. Now, for you, you've been in this for a long time. In fact, some of the conversations that I've had you say is that this is a passion for you. You've gone on to create so many partnerships that are flourishing. What advice do you have for them as they now become alumni, as they now get into this space?
Thank you. First of all, to start with the advice is you guys are doing really incredible things, and it's nice to see that it's all unique, but it's also the passion when you speak about what you're talking about. It's really amazing, and without passion, you can't do these things. You will not commit because it's a long journey, it's commitment, it's demanding, and there are days where you feel like, why am I doing what I'm doing? But with that passion, you're going to keep it going. My advice is in this sector, when it comes to children, when it comes to literacy and education, is that things are always changing. The communities are always changing. The next generation is different from the generation before. So we, as educators in these fields, we have to be very open-minded. And we also have to consider that every child is different. But that one child, sometimes we also think that we need to teach 500 children, 600 children, but maybe if you focused on one child and created impact with that one child, then that will have a ripple effect on the rest. So stay put on what you're doing, but also allow yourself to be very acceptable to change and adapt quickly when change calls. And if something is not working, then recognize that it's not working. Because we also have... I think this comes also to mindset with a lot of teachers that we interact with is, no, I'm going to keep pushing. It will work eventually. Sometimes it's never going to work, so we need to change it. And also look around creating more and more material that is relatable. Yeah? We have to localize this material as much as possible. And even as we are teaching English and a language, it's also good to start with the local languages as well. Because our aim is to teach them to understand, not to just cram and move forward. Yeah? Then when it comes to the parents, I'll give you an example. We have a community library in PG that we opened in partnership with Stanbic in 2017. At this library, we only had 5 children at the start and about 2 parents. When we opened the library, everyone said, no one is going to come to the library. In this community, no one believes in books and all. We said, but if we create an environment that is different for them. So we built and innovated an environment that was different in the whole community. Then we would see them coming in with their phones to take pictures for Facebook. And in doing this, we said, okay, every time you come here to take a picture for Facebook, you're going to have to sit down and read with 2 children. Yeah? Then now, as we speak, the library has over 800 parents that attend the library. And the children is even more. So you see, we have to look at things and allow them to take time, but also think, what can I do different in this environment? Then the other thing is that every parent out there wants their child to succeed. So we have to be able to paint the picture of education. They have to understand that without education, there's actually no way of succeeding for these children. It's going to be generational poverty after generational poverty. It's going to be the same cycle for the family. So to break this cycle, we have to paint this picture to the parent and to the teenagers. If a 13-year-old understands that for me to move from this environment, then I need to focus on my education, they will seek you more than you look for them. Even the parents, they will come knocking on your doors. They will come. Right now we have parents who are in school and who have attended these ghetto book clinics. And people used to say, but these parents look for us day and night, and they will come and look for us and say, Teacher Mago, this is a parent who had never gone to school. But because they've seen that there's a bigger dream out there and they've seen the value of education. So if we, as educators and as fellows, we can emphasize the power of education by one, showing from your example what it can do. That's a very powerful story, you as a person. Then also showing the impact it's having on the children. I think we can carry on for years and years to come. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'll now, if you have questions, please save them. We'll have a round of interaction later. So just one sentence to close off this panel from each one of you. Thank you very much, Margot. That was very insightful. Yes, Britta?
Thank you. So me being here is a dream come true. 2 and about 3 months ago, I cried. I made this phone call to one friend of mine on the panel, and I said, I can't do this. I mean, I am being eaten by insects. I can't do this. I am going to die. And then she's like, no, we can actually do this. So 2 years ago, us sitting here is a dream. And we did not just go through the fellowship. Our parents are not here today to testify, but we have done something in these communities. I stand here and I say that I know that people of Busenda, there's a girl, there's a boy, there's a baby out there that says I am because Britta taught me English, because Britta told me I can stay in school. So me sitting here today and knowing that I made it through the fellowship and that there's a girl and there's a child out there that looks back and smiles when they hear Teacher Britta, I am glad I made it.
Thank you very much. Yes, Aaron?
Thank you. Yes, we've done this thing 2 years, and it is getting to an end. Yeah, as my sister said that we've done something. You said a sentence, do something greater than yourself. Allow yourself to be challenged. When you're still young, you might not even know your passion. Allow yourself to be challenged. In that challenge, you might find your passion. And then after finding your passion, please persevere. Those guys you see on TV having big bodies, they do a lot of work, hard work, to make them able to be on a screen such that you enjoy. Other thing, the last one. Majority of us who are here were once assisted to reach to a certain level. Let it be when you are still young, or younger, or now. And we are still being assisted. Assist someone. Assist some people. I remember when I had just gone to this school, there was a boy called Capio. He was bright upstairs. He could get these things in classroom, but then did not know how to get a grade. We stood for 2 hours. And that is the guy who made a first grade of 8 aggregates down in Mayuge. I'll not hold all of this alone, but a little switch in the mindset of this boy that try this. What if you do this like this? What if you do it differently? How do you read? What if we read like this? I will help you to read this. Just a little shift in the mindset of someone. It made it. Try to assist someone. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yes, Britta?
Martha.
Oh, sorry, Martha.
So my last words would be, there are memes that always go around saying education is no longer the key, or the padlock has changed. I would like to remind everyone in the education sector, everyone in the space, that education is still the key. It is really, really still the key. The padlock has not changed. It is still the key to success. And it is our responsibility. I am not a teacher by profession, but right now I feel like the future of education truly, truly lies in my hands, right? We have government officials, we have civil society organizations, it is everyone's responsibility. If there's a statistic out there that 65% of P6 students cannot read a P2 story, what does that say? What can you do in your space as a government official, as a policy, as someone that is recommending a policy? What can you do if that is happening? Like, what is happening? Let us ask ourselves why the education system is how it is, and let us come up with actual solutions. If children are not reading, what is happening? Huh? If they cannot do a math, I remember doing, my P2 child did a spelling exercise, which I went around and took to P5, P6, P7, and P4. And the marks that my P2 child got in spelling, no other P6 kid could get them. So what are we doing wrong? What can we correct? What can we review? If there's a policy that is not serving us anymore, our policy analyst, our upcoming policy analyst, if there's a policy that is not serving us anymore, can we review these policies? Because they're not written in stone. Huh? We are working on policies of 1989. Huh? And it is 2022, almost 30 years later. Are these policies still working for us? If they are not, can we change them? That is all I would say. It's our responsibility, is what I'm saying. And education is still the key.
Yes. Important insights that Martha leaves us with. Yes, finally, Hasfa?
Mine is also similar to Martha, saying that says, if you want to hide anything from an African, hide it in a book. Because we do not have a culture of reading. It could be policy. It also comes down to our homes. Yeah. So if we are going to be change agents, then we need to start this in our own homes. You have to be a representation of the change that you want to cause. So in the spaces that we're in, we need to build a reading culture. And maybe even one thing we can take away from this is, in all these schools, in the primary schools, we have interact clubs, environment club. Why do we not have book clubs? Maybe, is it possible that if we had a book club in these schools, then maybe children would come together and spend some time reading on their own, and maybe that will elevate their level of reading and their level of comprehending? Maybe this is something that can actually happen within the schools, and maybe we can change this narrative, because if people are saying to hide from an African, you hide it in a book. It's generation, it's gone on for generations, and to break that, we need to do things different, like you said, Martha, in terms of policy. And I think for me, the biggest policy that we need to introduce in the education sector is literacy. We need to put a main focus on literacy. Yes.
Thank you very much. A round of applause for my panel. Thank you very much, my panelists. We may now take our seats. Do we have a photo moment? No?
Do we?
Okay. Let's please take our seats.
Good afternoon, everybody. Is it already? Yes. Good afternoon. Time has caught up with us, and our guest of honor representing has asked to take leave, but we would like to hear his remarks before he does that. So I was supposed to speak, but then I will speak later because his time is more precious than mine. So my name is Sheila Kangwaje. I am a board member, Teach For Uganda, for the last, you say 4 years, but I feel like I have been with you for the last 10 years. But I'm grateful, I am. And I would like to take this opportunity to ask Mr. Mutekanga George, the Commissioner of Private Schools, representing the Permanent Secretary at the Ministry of Education and Sports, to come and speak to us. But before you do that, sir, I'd like to just share this quote that I landed on one time, and it really reinforced my commitment to Teach For Uganda as my bid, as one of the graduates has said. It says, how to destroy a country. At the entrance gate of a university in South Africa, the following message was posted for contemplation. Destroying any nation does not require the use of atomic bombs or the use of long-range missiles. It only requires lowering the quality of education and allowing cheating in the exams by the students. Patients die at the hands of such doctors. Buildings collapse at the hands of such engineers. Money is lost at the hands of such economists and accountants. Humanity dies at the hands of such religious scholars. Justice is lost at the hands of such judges. The collapse of education is the collapse of a nation. With that, dear our representative, hoping you take our message back to the ministry, please, you're welcome to share your remarks with us, and we are very, very honored to have you here with us.
Thank you very much, Madam Shira, for inviting me to speak to this very important occasion. In terms of protocol, I'll begin with the partners that partner with Teach for Uganda, who are present, and those who are not here, and in the diaspora. I want to recognize the board members, led by none other than Shira. Thank you very much for the work you are doing for this institution and government. I want to recognize the presence of none other than my son, James Alinitu. I'm calling him my son because he's actually my son. And Charlotte, for this vision, we call them vision bearers. When you go to vision bearing, you must know who has the vision, and therefore, I'm proud to be part of it today. I want also to recognize the graduates who are going to graduate today. I want to recognize my colleague, Madam Elizabeth. Please stand up for recognition. And I want to recognize all other stakeholders, like Cotton Foundation. I know Cotton Foundation works very well in Southwestern. Is it Rakai? Are you still in Rakai and Chotera? Yes, I've worked with you. And we are supposed to take one of the schools to Nigeria next week. Is it this week? This week. James, I want your attention now that I'm talking. You know, for me, I'm a teacher. In a special way, I also want to recognize Charlotte and Mutaka. Where is Mutaka Emmanuel? For inviting me to this function through my PS and Director of Basic and Secondary Education. I'll first of all bring in apologies for the PS. She's out of the country. She's supposed to be here, but because of other commitments beyond our control, she's out of the country. And my Director, Basic and Secondary Education, she has other conflicting commitments beyond our own control. And they asked me to actually represent the two at this very important occasion. In a special way, I want also to bring you greetings from the First Lady and the Minister of Education and Sports, Madam Janet Museveni, Mama Janet Museveni Kataha, who she's happy with what you are progressing on. You're actually touching the bottom challenge of a teaching and learning. I thought you'd clap more for that. As a Minister of Education and Sports, I want to appreciate Teach for Uganda for this, not only the vision and initiative, I've liked the way you started it. Personally, I've been touched. Some of us who went to good schools and were in good positions, we may not know what you go through when you are coming from the law. You said you're walking barefooted. And sincerely, that is the sincerity I liked in you. And it touched me most. But you are able to be what you are because of your vision and grandmother. Yesterday was AIDS Day, and therefore we recognize your parents. And many of us, either on one or the other, we have lost a parent, a relative, a son, a daughter, because of HIV. On the same occasion, I want also to recognize and thank the stakeholders that you are working with. When I saw yourself in Ruero, that school you said is what? Butuntumula, where there was no power, no nothing, and you are able to change life there and have two students, one in the US, another one, the ladies where? In the UK. To me, you deserve a very big hand clap. And my thinking is that I wish we had several alligator trees, several chariots, but I'm happy. You said yourself that a step of, if you are to take a distance of 1,000 miles, starts with one step. And that one step is between you and your sister here for that vision. I want also to recognize and thank all graduates who are going to graduate today and who have been here before for accepting to come to the profession. We have so many children, I call them children because they are my children, who have graduated with very good courses done, with very good certificates, but not even willing to work as a teacher. But when I see today we have a cohort of 26 who have turned into teachers, not by force, but by their own wish. And I saw Masereka, and I've now seen the lady, she was called what, Sheila? Daphne, yeah, Daphne and Sheila. And I could see, I don't need to go to my UK to see what they are doing, but I'm able to see. And I'm going to be forced one of these days to drive there and see, make a follow-up. We have a very big resource in Uganda and in Africa. The biggest problem has been ignorance, poverty, and disease. I'm happy James and Charlotte and your team, you're already addressing the issue of ignorance now. And we have a very big resource. Uganda has the youngest population. And it's this youngest population that from 1997, with the introduction of UPE, we have so many graduates. Fortunately or unfortunately, some of them don't know that they're even graduates. They're not even willing to go back to the villages where they came from to add a brick on the foundation of this country. By the fact that Masereka can leave Kasese and go to work in Mayuge is enough testimony of nationalism. I saw this young girl here, I didn't pick the name, who started the community library, Martha. You could see in herself a town girl, but now deep in the village. And I was very happy. Can we put our hands together for her? And the culture of reading and writing is very key and paramount, James, the culture of reading and writing. We cannot go any further without reading. I was asking Charlotte today, anybody who has the new vision of today? I left one in my office. Anybody who has it? Oh, nobody. Where is it? Who has it? Don't go online. That's where we see the culture of reading. For us who are still analog, we still believe in buying the papers online. I mean, eh? Yeah, I wanted to show you the culture of reading, but I will not talk about that because it may divert the pressmen who are here. What am I trying to say? The moment you can go back and learn and appreciate what your teacher went through, appreciate that through teaching and learning, you have to go through a process. And I want to thank the U.S. Ambassador for accepting to support you by putting up an institute to support us in this line. Because your vision, I'm trying to see, and I'm interested to see that institute, and I'm sure I will visit the institute to see how do we proceed with this vision. And I've taken note on a number of issues. The first one, the important areas that I've taken note is the community library by Martha and your team. Can we have those community libraries? She even came up with Madame Elizabeth. She has come up, instead of having so many clubs, can we have a book club? Did you mention book club? Meaning that we have books. Unfortunately, James is being disturbed, and for me, I'm a teacher. When I'm teaching, my class is not being disturbed. James, I want your attention. I'm a senior teacher for 36 years. So, the idea of Martha, to me, that was a very good model. Because children have never even seen books. I could see them try to imitate the letters. And that's where we come from, all of us. Kindly improve on your model and ensure that you have that reading culture incorporated. The second aspect, which is very important that I picked, is the culture of protection of the school environment. Mr. Masereka was able to plant some trees. Now, we have a campaign as the Minister of Education and Sports of greening our schools. We have been offered 6 million trees to plant. We have been offered money to come up with nursery beds. Can we go that direction also? As we protect the environment, we change the environment. I could see the roofs of the classroom that you are teaching, you are using. And I can imagine in a broad daylight, the heat, the sunshine, with those numbers in class, going hungry without even a meal. I know what I can imagine. So, the moment we have enough green environment, green surrounding, you will have better classes and very good teaching and learning environment. Number 3, Madam Shira, again, you are disturbing James. I have liked the concept of solar, providing solar panels, ability to see. Just 2 days ago, we had a blackout in Kampala, and everybody was, oh. But some of us who have solar panels, we didn't know about it. Can we think about an alternative? Can we introduce solar panels in some of our schools using it? Don't say here. I'm now giving you the concept, and I will give you the money where it is. The ability for our graduates to stay deep in the schools, deep in the villages. The lady there, number 4, she could not believe she could teach without porridge, without posho. That is enough testimony that life was not. Actually, when I was sharing with Madame Shalom this morning, she told me the first cohort were over 30, but they are now 10. The other day they were 16, now they are 12. Those are the reasons that people run away. So it is survival for the fittest. Now, this one brings me back to the question of having a hot midday meal. Can we please, because that's a campaign. You know, I've been in charge of school feeding, school milk programs. I cannot talk about milk in Mayuge now. Can we talk about providing a midday meal, which is hot, and we support you in that area? The other area that I want to talk about is, what do you think about this future plan? Now that you are doing very well. First of all, I saw among your supporters and your partners, you have bankers, you have the Bankers Association, you have the different financial institutions. Can we introduce financial literacy among your program? But somebody cropped, meaning he's happy about it. When I talk about financial literacy, what do I mean? We are talking of poverty. But what is the cause of poverty? Ignorance. And why are you ignorant? Because you don't know that whatever you have is a resource. And how do you turn these resources into an earning? We need to begin teaching the culture of earning at that lowest level. The culture of saving. You earn, you save. You spend wisely and donate. This morning you told me you were in the US seeking for financial fundraisings. Those people are able to donate because they have been inbuilt a culture of donation. We have so many Ugandans who have the capacity to donate, but they don't know that you cannot get when you don't give. And sincerely, I've been touched by this program, and I'm happy that at least we have young brains that can take over from us and continue with the struggle. As a ministry, we have reviewed the curriculum. I hope you are aware. Not only the lower secondary curriculum, but we also began with the primary education curriculum. Our biggest problem has been and is that people know that at P7 we want to do 4 subjects: English, mathematics, SST, and science. But we have 6 other subjects that are not examined. My sister here knows them very well. We have CAPE 1. What is CAPE? In full? Who knows CAPE in full? Oh. CAPE 1, write them down. CAPE 2 and CAPE 3. You should find out what are these CAPEs. We have also reintroduced Kiswahili at primary level. It is now compulsory in senior 1 and 2. We have also introduced the 8 vocational subjects of agriculture, music, dance and drama, physical education, art and design, IT, food and nutrition, textile design. What else? You need to know these new subjects, and you begin integrating them at that level. We have the foreign languages. Can you begin a language at least? I know at that level we encourage an area local language. If it is in Busoga, you teach Busoga. If it is in Ruero, you teach Uganda. But can you teach at least one foreign language now that you are planning to go to secondary? We have so many girls and many young girls who are going to become maids. Can you imagine you become a graduate to become a maid in Saudi Arabia, in a foreign land? Oh no. Last but not least, we need to think on how to support those teenage mothers, the adolescents, who have been in your school, who by one way or the other have become pregnant, and it's not their own mistake that they have become pregnant. We have a program. The two of you will come to my office and we see how we can integrate it. So that as you work in Mayuge, as you work in Namutumba, as you work in Namayingo, those areas, Luuka, kindly cascade this model. For me, I've personally liked it. I'm sure when you come and we go on a drawing board, now that my colleague is here, we shall move another step ahead. I want to conclude my remarks by saying, I know you've started small because of the resources, but can we begin cascading this program into other areas? For example, if you are doing very well in Mayuge, is Bujiri on board? Is Bugwere on board? Is Namutumba, is Ruuka on board? You are in the same sub-region. Am I communicating? If you are talking about Ruero, how do we bring on board Nakasongola and Nakaseke? How do we bring on board Chiboga and Chankwanzi? Did I hear you right? You are from Kashari. Is it Kashari? And when you talk of Kashari, that is in Mbarara. Don't you think we also need to go as far as Chiruhura? Don't you think it's the time we think about Kazo? Close to Ivanda? Isinjiro? Now, think of a cascading model, whereby you are using now the Maserekas as role models. For me, I've liked the program personally, and I've stamped it, and we're going to support you. I want to thank you very much for listening. I want to empower my team. And I want to say also, before I forget, how can we support, how can we as ministry now, how can we recognize these graduates? By recognizing what I might try to say. Now that Masereka, from a scientist to become a classroom teacher, of the best teacher from baby class to senior 6, can we give him a small certificate of PGDE, postgraduate diploma in education? We need to think about the modalities. What are the implications? And of course, after getting that PGDE, form of PGDE in your institute, then we need to go to National Council for Education for recognition. And the moment we recognize it as National Council, then we can now see how we can continue working with this program. When you give me to talk, I can speak for the whole day until cows come back. But I want to thank the young men and women who have come up to spearhead this program once again. I want to thank you. By the way, I didn't see your tutors. Who are the tutors of these graduates? Can you stand up for recognition? Oh, you call them coaches. The coaches, please. The coaches deserve a handshake. Please come forward. Yeah, because it's not easy to transform someone. The way Masereka and Martha and who? Please come here for a handshake. And you deserve a very good. You are calling them coaches, please. Thank you very much for your name.
Ignatius.
And what do you teach?
I support fellows.
Fellows in the field. So you are like an inspector of schools? Yes. And you?
Kanyonyos. I'm also an alumni of Teach For Uganda.
Oh, and what do you teach? How do you support them? I would just say support.
Okay. I support the fellows in field through different aspects in classroom and in community work. I'm not a teacher professionally, but Teach For Uganda built me away from the other profession to the education profession.
You wish to become one of us?
I would wish, and I wish to do a master's in education.
Wonderful, excellent, super gold.
Kamkama Solomon, a coach in Kayunga. I support fellows in basic classroom practices and pedagogy and leadership in the community.
Okay. Thank you. Kamkama.
Dennis Kinyera. I do the same thing as Solomon and the rest.
Where do you do it?
In Mayuge.
In Mayuge. Can you imagine Kinyera in Mayuge?
I'm Muchala Pink Teresa. I work in Kayunga, Busana Sub-County, supporting 23 fellows.
In Busana. Thank you.
Lydia Chitala. I run the training institute.
You run the training institute. So you are the small principal. Oh, congratulations. I need to visit the training institute. Thank you. Please invite me.
My name is Desmond Wandera. I support in the leadership development, coordinating all activities in the 4 districts so far.
The 4 districts are Mayuge, Ruero, Kayunga,
Namutumba.
And Namutumba.
Yes.
You can see. I think you give me a photo with this team. And you clap for us. They are the reasons why we are here, not so? Yes. My commission has also. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mutekanga. You have not shied away in making your commitments. I hope that the Teach For Uganda team was taking note because we have to follow up. I know for a fact that Masereka will come to you about that scholarship.
As pretty as you are, you know you're caught up in the flower. If good looks what it needs, you know you're caught up in the now. Well, it couldn't be that you be what you wanted to. I could tell. Yeah. I like the way you do it. You make my life so sweet. I love the way you do the picture. You make my life so rich. I love the way you do the picture. I love, 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 love.
please put your hands together for the cohort 3 representative, Miss Achola Dina. Do I need to introduce her? Miss Achola Dina has had such a phenomenal, fellowship experience. She has engaged so many children, and she has made sure to document her experience. So I will later on interact with the Teach For Uganda team to understand what criteria they used to select you as the, cohort 3 representative. But over to you, please.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It's my cohort members who actually nominated me to represent them, and I'm very honored to represent you people. It's been quite a journey, yo. All protocol observed, I did put down a speech, and all I'll say is that 2 years ago, Teach For Uganda placed a team of young and energetic youths as teachers in the rural communities of Mayuge and Luero district as champions of educational transformation. These champions have felt what it is to be at the front line, especially in underserved communities. They now know the kind of sectoral and cross-sectoral collaborations that will elevate our communities. We thank Ms. Charlotte Iraguha and Mr. James Kasaga Arinaitwe for bearing the vision that one day all children in Uganda will attain an equitable quality education, and then going ahead to embark on a mission to nurture leaders who are committed to advancing equitable access to quality education in low-income communities. We are also more than grateful to all the partners and stakeholders who are offering their resources, time, skills, and intellectual property to support young people to live high-impact lives while building communities through education. Education remains an equalizer for economic growth and development, and therefore should be supported at all levels. Today, the 26 leaders are ready to advance this agenda around education and transformation, challenging systems, disrupting processes, influencing decisions, raising voices, and vehemently acting on matters of education as a tool for development. Must I say that the journey has been very challenging and tough, but such is the path of leaders. For leadership is a very lonely journey. The kind of challenges faced during the 2 years were so much needed. Because where would we demonstrate leadership if there were no challenges? I mean, talk of a cohort that existed pre-pandemic, during the pandemic, and post the pandemic. Imagine such a cohort. We have seen it all. The giants of Buswitira, we watched them develop under the careful watch of Ivan Timothy Wandera. We saw Naomi Deborah Angom in her gentleness, kindness, and empathy do so many good things in Busenda together with Britta. Talk of Chandia Judith, Charita Emmanuel Albert, Yeko Edmond, who are our climate champions, who are promoting climate education at the grassroots. Those who focused on skilling the mothers for livelihoods. Precious Atuhaire, Mary Nyadoy, plus our gender enthusiasts who ensured that the girls stayed in school by promoting menstrual hygiene. How can I forget Atala Agnes? Please. The silent force of Chigandalo, who walked every path with me, and most importantly, our dearest coach, Dennis Kinyera. who held us up in moments we felt the weight of the fellowship take a toll on us. Thank you so much, Coach Dennis. We dearly appreciate. And to you, my dear comrades in service, I know that we all dearly miss our children, but through them, we have been sharpened and are now more than ready to advance to our next paths. May you remember that we are a team, and we have each other's back. May you carry the values of service above self, humility, integrity, empathy, transparency, and the boldness in the face of adversity. We have the mandate to develop our society and live transcendently of everything that makes us different. This is it from us. Teach for Uganda Cohort 3, Class of 2022. I remain Achola Dina. Thank you so much.
Obugalo for dinner. I referenced that why would we be building solutions if we didn't have challenges? So challenges in community are very necessary. Thank you very much, Dina, for representing your cohort. And thank you very much, Cohort 3, for nominating Dina. At this moment, I would like to invite just a moment. I would like to invite Charlotte. Charlotte will now guide us on what happens next.
It's already good afternoon. Good afternoon, everyone. We are very delighted to have you here with us today, and your presence is really highly appreciated by all of us. I would like to take this opportunity to invite Mr. Abubakar to give us a keynote speech.
Thank you, Charlotte. And board members present, partners, it's always a tough job to give a keynote speech just before lunch. But I'll try. And I came into contact with Teach For Uganda. Teach For Uganda while country manager for DHL. I was very impressed to see that we have Ugandans that are not selfish, that have offered to groom others into leadership and entrepreneurship, and at the same time be able to recognize where there is the most need. So of course, education has sparks that we cannot quantify in terms of its transformational capabilities. And when I heard the story of Martha, I think, of the ladies that were getting pregnant because they were not even aware, they didn't even have the information. I got a bit touched, but at the same time, it did not surprise me because, you know, some of us maybe were born in different backgrounds where we were always questioning why there were these differences everywhere we went. So if you grew up in a typical neighborhood here in Kampala, you could easily see the inequality when you went out to play. You could easily see the inequality when you visited your friends, because all of a sudden you start noticing things. You're like, oh, these guys don't have this, these guys don't have this. And as you grow up, they become even more nuanced as you travel to the villages to visit your grandparents. You start realizing that the things you take for granted here in Kampala, you know, are not everywhere. And so the question then becomes, what effort or what do you add to addressing the situation? And I think that there are institutions no better than Teach For Uganda that have really taken this problem and are turning it around. And I think they deserve a big clap for that, Charlotte and your partners. So my personal story, which may be relevant to you, is that I was raised by a woman who was almost obsessed about education. And my father was never around. And I think I would have been one of those guys who would not have finished school. Because I used to find it so boring, to be honest. And I didn't understand the whole object of it. And if it had not been for this lady who kept insisting that, I keep going to school and I needn't understand why. But eventually, to cut the long story short, is that I figured out why my mom was so insistent on this, because she got pregnant with me in senior 2. And so she did not finish. And later on, when I grew up, she's like, okay, my son, I'm glad that now you've graduated, which means that I would also have graduated. But then, having graduated, I never needed another single penny from my parents after that. And so up to today, I've been able to live off money that I've earned because I was educated. So you can imagine, I've been working since 2003. So that's a really long time. And so even for you who have had the opportunity to graduate, you may end up with the same scenario where you no longer need to depend on anyone for your livelihood. And that's the true meaning of freedom. But what's even more important is for you to be able to be brave enough to go and try to impact communities that would not have the same opportunities that you had. I think you deserve a clap for that. And I really would like to thank you for taking that journey. Now, going back to more strategic interests. So we live in a developing country, Uganda. It's considered a low-income country. And so we are trying to transform. And one of the main areas of transformation is what is called human capital development. How many people know human capital development? Okay, it's a very big word to mean education. And education should not be seen only from the prism of, academia. You could be educated how to play football. You could be educated how to be an artist or as an entertainer. And I believe that when you go down there and you teach someone how to read, they can become anything they want to become, because all they have to do is pick up a book. And the transformation of Africa will depend on human capital, because Africa is rich in natural capital. So these are the two key elements for transformation, because the natural capital is already there. The land is already there. The minerals are already there. The lakes are already there. And then you ask yourself, why are there different outcomes in development? And it goes to two factors: human capital development and the leadership that you've been trained to provide. So I do believe that this is a real transformational model that we're experiencing here. And it goes to the key elements, because educated people are the ones that will lead us to make progress in science, innovation, social well-being, and equity. And because we live in a capital-constrained environment where we don't have enough savings, our biggest hope is to make sure that the people that will lead you when you are old, some of us are getting closer to that. And so it gives me a lot of pleasure to see that the young people that will be leading, the ones you'll go to for treatment, the ones you'll go to teach your children, the one you'll go to for help, are making an effort to groom the next generation. So I think that if we continue like this, we're going to have better leaders. Most of you know, the results of disastrous leadership. And so for you to have a pool of leaders or future leaders or current leaders, the innovators, is the way we will end up with better governance and better development, better healthcare, better housing, better food. And so Africa will be shaped by people that combine entrepreneurship with leadership. So with those few remarks, I'd like to say thank you for inviting me, and thank you for the initiative, and the board members for your time, and the graduates, congratulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Abubakar. Thank you very much, Mr. Abubakar. The energy with which you speak, you mentioned that you're getting old, but the energy and the continence do not show anything. So you really still look youthful. Teach for Uganda team will soon send you to Mayuge. All right, so at this moment, I would like to invite Charlotte once more. She knows what the program looks like.
I would like to take this moment to invite Madame Sheila Kangwaje, who's going to represent our board chair, to give us a few remarks. Thank you.
Good afternoon once again. Thank you, Charlotte. I am a board member of Teach for Uganda, and I am sad to say our chairperson and fellow board members are not able to join us today, so I was tasked to represent. And actually, what I would have said, a lot has been said by James, and Charlotte, I think, will add on to that. But just wanted to share with you, the board comprises of Mr. Oscar Samoya Mutsoke, who is the host of Capital Gang. You can listen to him tomorrow, and a very great educator. And Mr. Andrew Muchibi, who is originally a teacher, but into business and real estate. And myself, my background is marketing, communications, and business. So I'm just grateful to have been a part of the Teach for Uganda journey. Our time, I think, is winding up as a founding board members. I'm very grateful for that opportunity, for the incoming board, whoever will be selected. I think it's been a very inspiring and learning journey. I was not originally, my core outside of my business work and day job, education, as important as it is, and I value it, it really didn't, I had focused my energies on other areas that, require assistance. But through the work we've done with Teach for Uganda, I don't know how I can share with you, especially the graduates. When I look at some of the places I went to Mayuge, to come from campus and be, thrust into that, I can imagine the shock that many of the graduates get. And for them to see it through, for us to have here 26 graduates, it's amazing. It's not easy. You've been used to, you're either at Makerere, at Chambogo, at Kisui. You're in town. You're a city girl, city boy. So there you have, pit latrines, and, it's not easy. As Mr. Mayanja has said, we wonder how, because we maybe were fortunate enough to go to different schools and be, in more urban developed areas. So let's not take that for granted. And I am so grateful to all of you, the cohort who are throwing the ladder back down and helping pull up others. That's what we are all supposed to do. We can't just climb and kick the ladder away. It is our duty to go back. I am so happy, James, Charlotte, you try to encourage those who have been able to get other opportunities outside of the country to come back because we're the problem solvers, as Daphne said. You have got to be part of the solution, and Teach for Uganda is exactly that. It is not going to just look at a problem and not solve it. So I just want to be very clear on the vision that Charlotte and James started. I want you to know that I will support from the sidelines. I will always be available whenever you need us to, be there and encourage and get whatever we can get from our partners, our donors. And just before I conclude, I want to share, maybe ministry can, you have seen the book on your table that has our partners. And I'm sure you will recognize that most of them are foreign. We have an advisory board on Teach for Uganda from the US. And a lot of those partnerships have been through their relationships and endorsements. That's not to say us in Uganda have not tried our best to get local partners and donors. It's a struggle to see our very big companies and corporates and organizations that have capacity to contribute to this, to be part of this solution. It's hard. So I've always, every opportunity that I have had, I've always rallied, having a corporate background myself, and obviously handling the CSR and corporate social investment arms of companies and organizations. I think it's important, especially when you have accountability of organizations like this. There are those that you can support that, once in a while, it's not only when I see Club Pilsner sponsoring Shiba Karunji and I'm thinking, okay, what about the education? So as big as we are on entertainment, the country, we really need to at least support the education sector, rally behind the ministry, because the funds are not enough. And these are your future customers. These are your future employees. So why not help build them? So once again, if there's anything that can be taken, I really, really wish that our next board is able to at least sign on, and we have on that page a Ugandan company that really is a partner to Teach for Uganda. I'm telling you, we shall shout it as if they give all the money, but we shall give really the props that they deserve, because I think once they see that, the more will get on board. But there's no better focus area for an organization like education. You won't get instant results like you get in education, because the society, you will see it, you will feel it. So, thank you so much. Graduates, can I see your hands up? So what are you going to do? I can't wait to see what you do when you graduate, but thank you so much. Thank you for putting in the time, the passion, the work, and really in the conditions that you have been in, COVID and all of that. Really, thank you so, so much. We do not take it for granted. Encourage your other, the ones who are coming up. Now you're alumni. Throw the ladder back down. Let's leave no child behind. Thank you so much, and congratulations.
Thank you very much, Sheila. Thank you very much for the work that you have done as while you were part of the board of Teach for Uganda. We thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, the moment has now arrived. It's now the award ceremony, and this means that we shall be awarding our graduates. Yes?
Good afternoon once again. We are so thankful that you are really patient, because we should have ended this occasion by 1:30, but you're still here with us. So we are very grateful that you're patient with us. Without further ado, I would like to invite James, Sheila, and Madame Elizabeth to come and join me here so we can be able to award our graduates with certificates. So I'm going to invite you. I read your name, you walk up front, and then you take your certificate. Nankabira Maria Brenda. Masereka Aaron. Mirembe Denise. Mujani Patrick. Muhumuza Ronald. Nagai Aisha. Nachitende Samsha. Namatovu Hana. Nyadoy Mary. Tukashaba Rita. Nakanda Duffin. Congratulations. Atusimire Brita. Adhere Precious. Adhere. Atala Agnes. Angom Naomi Deborah. Amolo Peace. Maureen Ameria. Congratulations. Yes, we should do it. Achola Dina. Wandera Ivan Timothy. Aikirize Martha. Beyenzika Joshua. Charlita Emmanuel. Shandia Judith. Magero Andrew. So thank you so much. We still have some more awards to give. So every year we get to award our fellows who have been very outstanding, both in classroom and outside of classroom. And this year we are going to recognize those fellows who have really exceeded our expectations in terms of their classroom practice as well as their community leadership. And I'm taking this honor to be able to invite those who have really been outstanding and deserve to be recognized. And the first person the award goes to is Wandera Ivan Timothy. Can you put them back? Oh. Okay. The second award goes to Angom Naomi Deborah. The third award goes to Chandia Judith. She has been the climate change activist. And the last one goes to Mujenyi Patrick. Okay, so my last task today is to really recognize and honor one of our partners who has gone above and beyond to support our vision and mission as Teach for Uganda. This partner has walked the journey with us since 2019. They have invested in our growth and development as an organization. And we are very grateful, and we would like to take this moment to appreciate them, recognize them, and honor them for the fundamental work that they have done with us. And this Crane Award goes to Sigo Family Foundation.
I wanted to say two words about the Sigo Family Foundation. In 2016, we began our journey with these wonderful people. Someone who had been working with them actually sneaked us into Munyonyo. But she sneaked us into their conference. We started our journey. Slowly by slowly, finally, they understood. Once they understood what we do, they have stood with us, not only training us. Charlotte is a visionary fellow with Sigo Family Foundation, and they have gone ahead and beyond. Even in COVID, they gave us a COVID adaptation grant to ensure that we survive as an organization. So for that, clap for the Sigo Family Foundation. Thank you. Thank you so much. So all the graduates, please come up and please consider time. The graduates, please come up. And I would like to request Anston Young, DHL, all our partners who have supported us to stand with us in a special way to recognize, to have this picture. And our official from the Ministry of Education, please. And the team and alumni of Teach For Uganda also should come around, because without you, the work will not happen. The team and alumni of Teach For Uganda, please join us.